All right, you guys, here's the agenda for our little video session today. So we're going to review what is a CER. We're going to look at an example CER. We're going to talk about theme, and then we're going to look a little bit at our text for this week. So CERs, we're going to continue this work from last week. You'll remember this slide, just explaining what a CER is again to you guys. So a CER stands for claim, evidence, and reasoning. You always write a CER as a response to answer a question. You want to prove to the reader that your answer is correct, which is why you use evidence and why you have to explain that evidence in your reasoning. So I talked to some of you guys about this last week, but basically a CER, we want you to practice this skill, not just because it's helpful for education, but it's actually helpful in life. You can use this format of a CER to prove any kind of point that you have. Maybe there's a political issue that you really care about and you're trying to prove that you're right to someone that you're talking to. You want to make sure that you answer their questions with good claims. You want to make sure you give them evidence, that it's not just your opinion, but you actually know that it's right with evidence. And that evidence could be a personal experience as well. And then you want to prove that that evidence does prove your claim, which is why you have that reasoning. So we're going to look at a sample text here. Okay, so here's our text, and then there's the question at the bottom. So we're going to read this together. If you're looking for a companion that will sit by your side, then a dog might be your best bet. Cats can be quite affectionate and attentive, but only up to a point. They tend to become bored or overstimulated much more easily than dogs, and at that point, they want to escape for a while. Now, my question for you is, according to the text, are dogs or cats better pets? You'll notice it doesn't say according to your opinion. It says according to the text. So if we're looking at this text again, we're trying to determine, what does this text think? Is this text trying to prove dogs are better, or is it trying to prove cats are better? So here's the claim I came up with. Dogs are better than cats because they will always be by your side. Now I want to prove that that is true, that this text is trying to prove that dogs are better pets than cats. So I say, in the text it states, if you're looking for a companion that will sit by your side, then a dog might be your best bet. Paragraph 1. Now make sure you put where you got this information from. It's actually considered plagiarism if you don't say where you got this from. I'm always going to tell you if you need to put paragraph, section, line, page. I'll let you know. But for this one, there's only one paragraph, so it's just going to be paragraph 1. And now you want to prove that that evidence that you chose supports your claim with reasoning. So the reasoning I came up with is this shows that dogs are more likely to be a companion. While cats can get bored with you, dogs will never leave you. Therefore, dogs are better pets than cats. So I'm just kind of summarizing what exactly this text said, right? This text was saying that cats can leave you. They want to escape you. They kind of get bored with you, where dogs will never actually leave you. So therefore, dogs are better pets than cats. And I summarize up my CER with that last statement. All right, hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. It's good to see an example every now and then. And you guys are going to do awesome at this. You already were. Your last week's CERs were already awesome. So just want to help them get a little bit better. Here's what it looks like at the end, all put together. Dogs are better than cats because they will always be by your side. In the text, it states, if you're looking for a companion that will sit by your side, then a dog might be your best bet. Paragraph 1. This shows that dogs are more likely to be a companion. While cats can get bored with you, dogs will never leave you. Therefore, dogs are better pets than cats. All right, good. Now we're going to look at theme. So the definition of theme is the message that the author is trying to give readers. This message is bigger than the text alone. I know you guys talked about theme last year, but I want to expand upon our knowledge of theme and let you in on how I teach theme and how I want you to think about theme. So it says the message the author's trying to give the reader. So why would this author write this text? What are they trying to teach people? That is what a theme is. And this message is bigger than the text alone. That means that maybe if you're talking about something, or if you're reading something about slavery, right? Obviously we know like slavery is bad, but slavery is bad is not a theme. It can't be rooted in that text alone. Maybe it's power corrupts people. Maybe that's the theme. Or that we should never treat human beings like less than humans, or something along those lines. It needs to be applied to other texts as well, not just in that one text. So here's the criteria for a theme. In order to make sure that your theme that you came up with is actually a theme, you need to make sure it checks out all of these 3 things. So it needs to be universal message. This means it can apply to other texts as well. That means that you should never have character names in your theme. You should never have anything to do with that specific text itself in your theme. It needs to be something that is broad, that you can say this also applies to this book, or this also applies to this story. Then it needs also be a complete thought. That means one complete sentence. It should never just be, my theme for this is hope. Hope is not a theme. Joy is not a theme. Happiness, that's not a theme. It needs to be one complete sentence, right? Like power corrupts people, or something to do with that. And then it needs to be a life lesson. So it can be applied to your own life, not just to different stories, something that is trying to teach you something. So our text this week is the story of Prometheus and Pandora's box. This genre is Greek mythology, so you'll recognize some of these things from Percy Jackson. And we're just going to watch this little video describing what our text is, so that we can have kind of an understanding of what goes on before we read the text itself. Here we go.
Curiosity, a blessing or a curse? The paradoxical nature of this trait was personified for the ancient Greeks in the mythical figure of Pandora. According to legend, she was the first mortal woman whose blazing curiosity set a chain of earth-shattering events in motion. Pandora was breathed into being by Hephaestus, god of fire, who enlisted the help of his divine companions to make her extraordinary. From Aphrodite, she received the capacity for deep emotion. From Hermes, she gained mastery over language. Athena gave the gift of fine craftsmanship and attention to detail, and Hermes gave her her name. Finally, Zeus bestowed two gifts on Pandora. The first was the trait of curiosity, which settled in her spirit and sent her eagerly out into the world. The second was a heavy box, ornately curved, heavy to hold, and screwed tightly shut. But the contents, Zeus told her, were not for mortal eyes. She was not to open the box under any circumstance. On Earth, Pandora met and fell in love with Epimetheus, a talented Titan who had been given the task of designing the natural world by Zeus. He had worked alongside his brother Prometheus, who created the first humans, but was eternally punished for giving them fire. Epimetheus missed his brother desperately, but in Pandora, he found another fiery-hearted soul for companionship. Pandora brimmed with excitement at life on Earth. She was also easily distracted and could be impatient, given her thirst for knowledge and desire to question her surroundings. Often her mind wandered to the contents of the sealed box. What treasure was so great it could never be seen by human eyes? And why was it in her care? Her fingers itched to pry it open. Sometimes she was convinced she heard voices whispering and the contents rattling around inside, as if straining to be free. Its enigma became maddening. Over time, Pandora became more and more obsessed with the box. It seemed there was a force beyond her control that drew her to the contents, which echoed her name louder and louder. One day she could bear it no longer. Stealing away from Epimetheus, she stared at the mystifying box. She'd take one glance inside, then be able to rid her mind of it forever. But at the first crack of the lid, the box burst open. Monstrous creatures and horrendous sounds rushed out in a cloud of smoke and swirled around her, screeching and cackling. Filled with terror, Pandora clawed desperately at the air to direct them back into their prison. But the creatures surged out in a gruesome cloud. She felt a wave of foreboding as they billowed away. Zeus had used the box as a vessel for all the forces of evil and suffering he'd created, and once released, they were uncontainable. As she wept, Pandora became aware of a sound echoing from within the box. This was not the eerie whispering of demons, but a light tinkling that seemed to ease her anguish. When she once again lifted the lid and peered in, a warm beam of light rose out and fluttered away. As she watched it flickering in the wake of the evil she'd unleashed, Pandora's pain was eased. She knew that opening the box was irreversible, but alongside the strife, she'd set hope forth to temper its effects. Today, Pandora's box suggests the extreme consequences of tampering with the unknown. But Pandora's burning curiosity also suggests the duality that lies at the heart of human inquiry. Are we bound to investigate everything we don't know, to mine the earth for more? Or are there some mysteries that are better left unsolved? At TED, we believe in the power of...
All right, so hopefully that gave you a little bit of a preview on what we're going to read. Ours is going to be a little bit more about Prometheus, less about Pandora, but it still has to do with that story. So I hope you guys are excited to get to Seminar 1. And now I want you guys to think, is your timer up? Yes? Head on back to the Google Meet. No? Go ahead and take a stretch break. And when your timer goes off, go ahead and head back to the Google Meet, and I will see you all over there. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone. See you soon.